fight so hard to be ourselves.
Here's the people from Compass area.
They really feel comfortable in this space.
You get to express yourself however you want to express yourself.
I'm coming here because I feel so welcomed.
We want girls to show up exactly how they are, to embrace all aspects of their identity.
Welcome to Night Runner.
It inspires and empowers. I feel courageous and confident.
This is our spiritual home. Let's not choose fear.
You're watching Project Community, celebrating Pride Month. Here are Tiffany Kenny and Felicia Rodriguez.
Good evening. Every year in June, the LGBTQ+ community celebrates Pride Month.
Tonight, we're joining you from downtown West Palm Beach, where the colors of pride are illuminated along Clematis Street and the Centennial Fountain.
And setting our stage, the letters LOVE.
In the next half hour, we're going to recognize people who are spreading that love and making a difference.
The Palm Beaches are welcoming to everyone, and we always strive to provide a visitor experience that's as diverse as our community itself in Palm Beach County. We are always promoting the diversity of experiences across our 39 cities and towns so that everyone feels welcome.
Discover the Palm Beaches has been at the forefront of equality, promoting LGBTQ+ events and safe travel. That inclusion got national recognition this month.
With help from Compass, one of the largest gay and lesbian community centers in Florida.
You know where you are, by the way. This is Bryant Park, where a lot of the Pride celebrations are.
Earlier this month, Compass made national news, appearing on Good Morning America to honor a longtime volunteer.
Here's the people from Compass area. Come on in, everybody. These are people from Palm Beach County.
The organization works to empower lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer people, as well as those impacted by HIV and AIDS in Palm Beach County.
We started out in 1988 as a Stop AIDS project, so really addressing the HIV and AIDS pandemic, and we've evolved into a community center, and now we provide youth and family services.
It's those services that make a big difference in our local LGBTQ+ community.
They really feel comfortable in this space, and it's where they can find community, make friends, because a lot of our kids are maybe the one out kid in their school, especially for our middle school age youth. And so here, they don't have to be the one, they can be the many.
Amanda Canetti oversees the youth and family services. Whether it's a support group or mentoring, she and others work with LGBTQ kids and teens, as well as their families.
It's really important for the young people that come to us and also for their family members. We hear so many times from the parents that they were really nervous about where their kid's going to fit in.
Fitting in is what it's all about, a safe space to be yourself. The annual Pride Parade draws thousands of people to Lake Worth Beach. It's part of a two-day festival put on by Compass, celebrating the freedom to be who you are, as well as the culture of the LGBTQ+ community.
I've never experienced anything like that. You know, to be around so many people that are there to just appreciate and enjoy each other. That's what this community is about. You know, we fight so hard to be ourselves that when we're around other people that do the same, it's just an amazing, amazing day.
Michael Reardon says Palm Beach Pride is held in March when the weather is a little cooler, but in June they celebrate big with the Stonewall Ball.
It is the premier LGBTQ event of Palm Beach County during Pride Month.
The ball pays homage to the Stonewall riots in New York in 1969.
The Stonewall riots are an important part of LGBTQ history. It's largely credited as the beginning of the modern LGBTQ rights movement.
Compass is one of the many resources in the Palm Beaches.
There is another community center whose mission is to help young people ages 18 to 25 who face homelessness or age out of foster care.
Life for 21-year-old T. Lamore has never been easy.
Well, I was a foster kid, so I pretty much was in foster care my whole life until I got adopted at 15. And then my parents were pretty abusive, so they threw me out on my 18th birthday. And then my 18th birthday, I was homeless, so.
That's when T found Vida Nova, a community resource that provides support of all kinds for kids who have no home.
Being able to go somewhere where I know that I'll be supported and appreciated and respected And it just feels very inclusive here of anybody, like no matter who you love. That's been nice.
It has to feel good that you do have this place.
Yeah, it does. I definitely feel supported and accepted, which I haven't felt like my whole life.
When you see these kids when they first come in, they must be so scared.
Yeah, I definitely have had people like cry in my office.
Allie Jacobs is one of the first people teens meet at Vita Nova. She says nearly 30% of the young people they help identify as LGBTQ+.
Whether it be coming out at home and they were kicked out, whether it be like domestic violence that's experienced at home, or issues with a partner, so intimate partner violence that happened within a queer relationship, because it's pretty common considering all the stressors that happen for someone who identifies as queer or trans. So there's definitely a correlation between LGBTQ youth coming out and them experiencing homelessness for sure. My pronouns are they, them, so I identify as queer and non-binary.
It has to help when they see you as one of the first people when they walk in the door.
Yeah, I definitely am glad that there's queer people and trans people represented in our staff, because if there wasn't, there would definitely be a disconnect for youth. I want to make sure that they see representation when they walk in the door.
Vita Nova provides housing, education, employment, and life skills training. Israel Telemac, who lived in group homes as a young teen, says it's changed his life.
If I would have known about Vita Nova when I first turned 18, I would have came straight here.
This has to feel like a really safe space for you.
Absolutely. Like when I'm feeling like I want to express myself, I can wear a pride shirt and I don't feel in danger. I don't feel, like in the real world, I don't feel like it's the same. When I come here, I feel like it's a safe spot.
He now works 2 jobs and is grateful for Vita Nova's guidance.
Vita Nova helped me gain confidence. It helped me with work. Like before, I thought I knew like adulthood. I thought I knew like going to an interview. I went to an interview with slides, and then Vita Nova basically changed me completely to where I'm a soup type of guy.
You have been through so much. This must feel like a whole nother world to you.
It's definitely a breath of relief. And I come here like I'm not at work. I'm coming here because I feel so welcomed.
Thirsty, babe.
Yes, please. It's like we have someone to look up to. And it's like the staff, other kids who are also not LGBT community, like they respect us, we respect them. It's like we all get along as like it's always nice to have that kind of thing where it's like an alliance.
T's future also looks bright.
I'm really good at school. I'm an honors student at Palm Beach State, and I'm getting my associate's degree in August. I got into all 4 schools I applied to, including Howard University and Florida State. So I'm going to be attending Florida State for criminology and minoring in African American studies in August.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. You must be so proud of yourself.
I am. I'm proud of myself.
Are you excited?
Yeah, I am excited.
Are you nervous at all?
Yeah, very nervous.
Yeah, that's a very natural response going away to college.
I want to be a family court judge, and I just want to advocate like for the rest of my life. I just want to be an advocate.
For kids like yourself?
Yes. I just don't want any youth to fall between the cracks of the system and feel alone, or like, they need to give up or their life isn't worth anything. Like I want them to know that you can be a success story like me.
It has allowed me to just be myself.
Next, the group inspiring and empowering people to unite through running. Plus,
it became a new outlet for channeling my grief and depression. I can't imagine my life without it now.
Encouraging girls to play sports and never quit. And
we honor everybody's spiritual practices and beliefs.
Finding faith in the LGBTQ+ community. You're watching Project Community, celebrating Pride Month.
Back in April, the Gay Polo League kicked off their 3-day event at the International Polo Club, Palm Beach. The league is the only LGBTQ+ polo organization in the world. It works to ensure athletes not only have the same opportunities, but also a safe place to learn, grow, and excel in their sport. The group also raises money to support diversity and inclusion initiatives for other LGBTQ+ organizations. The league was recently given the Champion of Equity and Diversity in Sports Award. A local woman is training for her very first triathlon after overcoming many obstacles. Our Yanni Caracas shares her journey and wisdom.
On these hot June days in South Florida, it's easy to stay inside to escape the heat. But the only place Jackie Jameson is staying cool is in the water. And that's to swim after she runs and bikes. See, Jackie is training for her first Ironman in August, just 2 days after she turns 50, getting back to a place in her life athletically and personally where she's at her best.
I've just been slowly moving up to, last year I did a half Ironman, and this year I have a full Ironman in September, and no looking back.
But you have to look back to see how far Jackie has come. When she tragically lost her daughter in 2014 at the hands of her then girlfriend, Jackie turned to alcohol and prescription pills to cope with the sadness. Now the open roads and water provide her a refuge.
It became a new outlet for channeling my grief and depression, and I can't imagine my life without it now.
Jackie started working at Compass LGBTQ+ Community Center in Lake Worth in 2017. It was there where colleagues insisted she do the Smart Ride from Miami to Key West.
Some of the folks that worked at Compass said, "You're doing this. We're going to meet on Saturday. We're riding. Let's go." And at the time, I didn't even have a bike.
First the Smart Ride, then a 5K. Soon, with every step, pedal, and stroke, she was the person she once embodied.
I was back in a place where I just felt like myself, you know? I felt like this is what I want to do in all of the free time that I have.
While growing up an athlete, Jackie says as she was starting the process of coming out as a teenager, she began to stray away from sports, a topic she recently touched on during an Instagram Live with Tharos.
I really didn't know what gay was then. It wasn't talked about then like it is now.
A nonprofit that empowers girls to stay engaged in sports and fitness. Nicole Shaya, the founder of Tharos, says girls are dropping out of sports at a staggering rate and much more than their male counterparts. And as part of their Pride Month activities, Nicole encourages athletes to embrace their identities.
We want girls to show up exactly how they are, to embrace their identity, all aspects of their identity, and to really understand how that plays into their sports experience.
Advice that Jackie Jameson could have used at a younger age.
Helping people to find who they really are, because if we don't talk about it, then there's this question of who am I and what does all this mean? And it takes years away. Because I feel like I kind of missed out on an opportunity to maybe do something different in my life that now has come full circle for me.
And now as she approaches that 50th birthday in the incredible challenge of an Ironman, Jackie is stronger than ever. For Project Community, celebrating Pride Month, I'm Yanni Caracas.
Also stronger than ever, the Night Runners in West Palm Beach. It's a group started by 4 friends. And as Chris Martinez found out, it's grown into a popular group connected through fitness and friendship.
Alrighty, welcome to Night Runners!
It just inspires and empowers. It has allowed me to just be myself.
Y'all kick off at 8 o'clock. How long is the route? How long does it take?
What is that? So we usually sometimes we'll have a long route and a short route. So long route is anywhere between like 3.5 to 3.7 miles, depending on which route we go. Yeah, and then our short route is just about 3 miles, and then we also have a walking route. And so the walking route is always about 1.5 miles.
So you don't always have to run?
No, you don't always have to run, not at all.
We have runners, we have walkers, we even have some people that might bike.
Do we have any new walkers or runners for tonight?
There's a camaraderie and a family that's being developed.
As a member of the LGBT community and also as a member of the African American community,
it's important for me to know that I'm not alone. And through that, it's not just a running group for me, it's been a group where I can create great friends, network, and also social events as well.
Look at you, mama. I know.
We create a bond, and we do things that are out of our comfort zone together.
When you see our runners, everyone is not South Beach Miami fit. You know, we have all shapes and sizes of folks, and we welcome everyone. The main goal for me is to make sure that folks continue to feel included. You know, many times for me, especially, it's been a second family.
When I moved here, I didn't know anybody in West Palm Beach, and this group, first night I remember running, and it was like 40 some people, and you know, it's nice. I think it's changed my life.
What keeps me coming back is that sense of family. It inspires me to be the best person I want to be. I think me showing up and doing that inspires others to do the same.
It is important to have a group where you feel represented, where you feel that there are individuals that share your story, just so that you know that you can connect and you can have someone that can understand where you've been and understand where you're also going.
Would you say joining this group has been one of the best decisions of your life?
I feel courageous and confident when it comes to putting myself out there in the community, whether it is as a leader, advocate, or just being myself, my true, authentic self. I'm able to step out into Palm Beach County in general and shine.
Next, the LGBTQ+ resources available to you if you live on the Treasure Coast.
Welcome back. Now to finding faith and community through Christianity.
Mark Kelly takes us inside the Metropolitan Community Church of the Palm Beaches.
This building or this community, this church, this is our spiritual home.
But Tracy O'Connor did not always have this special spiritual place. At one point, she turned away from Christianity during a difficult time in her life. But an email from this church brought her back.
They were having a sermon about being angry at God, and I was like, I want to go see. I mean, whoever tells you you can be angry at God? So I came, and that was in July of 2012, and 10 years later, you know, I'm still here because I love this church.
We need the Spirit to blow through us, to give us our marching orders, to bind us together for the work of collective liberation and justice. We all do. So let's not choose fear. Amen.
This Palm Beach Gardens church is one of many around the world. A pastor started the Metropolitan Community Church in the 60s after he was kicked out of his Pentecostal church for being gay. Reverend Marie Alford Harkey is senior pastor.
Unlike a lot of churches, we are not a denomination that believes that everybody should believe the same way we do. We honor everybody's spiritual practices and beliefs, but that's where we come from. That's the foundation out of which we grow.
For people in the LGBT plus community, if you talk about church or religion, it's very taboo, and they've had really negative experiences. And so one of the first things I always say to anybody, regardless of their orientation, is that it's different here.
Social action, community, Christianity. This is the foundation of this church, and that mission is ever growing. They now operate a program called Food for the Soul, where they deliver groceries to those with HIV/AIDS who cannot get to the store.
You can find pasta if you need it. You can find soup if you need it.
But the Metropolitan Church is also delivering something else, a place where the LGBTQ+ community can practice their faith while also being who they are.
Everyone is welcome. Everybody is invited to come and receive communion.
For Project Community, celebrating Pride Month, I'm Mark Kelly.
We have a list of all the LGBTQ+ resources and events in Palm Beach County and the Treasure Coast for you on WPBF.com. Just scan the QR code on your screen and you'll find all the contacts you need. And if you missed any part of the special, you can find all of the stories online as well.
Now to the Treasure Coast, where there is a support group for parents, family, and friends. The PFLAG chapter of Stewart provides education about LGBTQ+ issues and the challenges people may be facing. They believe advocacy is necessary to see other people's viewpoints and to create policies and laws for equality.
Finally tonight, the first Treasure Coast Pride event in 4 years made its return last month.
This year's theme was Together Again, since the last Pride Fest in Port St. Lucie was in 2018. And our Chris Martinez was there to kick off Pride on the Treasure Coast. There were more than 100 vendors and several singers and local bands to bring Pride Fest back to the community. We hope tonight's show serves as a reminder of the importance of inclusion.
While our communities have made great strides, the work is not over to ensure that all people are treated equally, no matter who they are or who they love.
Thanks for watching. Good night.